justice rarely delivers clean endings. More often, it shifts, sometimes forward, sometimes sideways, sometimes stalling entirely. Charges collapse under scrutiny, new ones appear, and families wait through months that stretch into years. In tonight's Silent Veil, we bring clarity to 4 active cases shaping headlines and courtrooms in America. Luigi Mangione, accused of killing a healthcare CEO, has seen terrorism charges thrown out but still faces murder, and the possibility of a federal death sentence. In Utah, prosecutors are pushing for capital punishment in the shooting of activist Charlie Kirk. The Menendez brothers, whose crime shocked the nation more than 30 years ago, have been denied yet another bid for relief. And in Massachusetts, Brian Walshe will finally face trial in the disappearance and presumed murder of his wife Anna. These cases reveal how justice moves, sometimes narrowing, sometimes expanding, but never still. This is Silent Veil. Luigi Mangione, when terrorism fades, murder remains. On its face, the Mangione case was destined to be sensational. Prosecutors said Luigi Mangione, a former employee with a violent grudge, killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in an attack that drew national outrage. Almost immediately, state prosecutors added terrorism charges, 2 counts designed to suggest this wasn't just a murder, but an act meant to terrify society. That label carried weight. The word terrorism suggests ideology, intent to destabilize. It evokes national fear. But in September 2025, a New York judge dismissed both counts, ruling that prosecutors had not proven the statutory definition of terrorism applied. The court said bluntly, calling a workplace killing terrorism was a stretch. The charges that remain are grave, second-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and in a separate federal indictment, charges that could carry the death penalty. This shift matters for more than Mangione. It illustrates how prosecutors sometimes overreach, adding high-profile charges that may crumble under judicial review. For Thompson's family, the dismissal may feel like minimization, an attack on their loved one reframed as less than society-shattering. But legally, the murder charge still means Mangione could spend the rest of his life in prison, or face execution federally. Why did prosecutors attempt terrorism? Because in New York, terrorism statutes allow harsher penalties and symbolic power. But history shows courts hesitate to expand terrorism beyond ideological violence. Judges want precision. The next major date is December 1, 2025, when state hearings resume. At the same time, federal prosecutors prepare to argue this murder qualifies as a capital case. Mangione's fate rests not on words like terrorism, but on evidence of intent, premeditation, and brutality. For Silent Veil, this case demonstrates that legal clarity can cut both ways, removing what doesn't fit, and sharpening what remains. Charlie Kirk shooting, the death penalty question. Few murders spark national attention as quickly as that of Charlie Kirk, a right-wing activist whose speeches and broadcasts made him a household name for some, and a polarizing figure for others. On September 10, 2025, Kirk was shot outside his Utah home. Within days, police arrested 33-year-old Tyler Robinson. In mid-September, prosecutors unveiled formal charges: aggravated murder, firearms use, obstruction, and witness tampering. And with those charges came a stark announcement: they will seek the death penalty. In Utah, capital punishment requires aggravating factors. Prosecutors must show the crime was especially cruel, premeditated, or posed risk to others. By choosing aggravated murder, prosecutors argue Robinson's actions weren't random, they were calculated. The evidence includes surveillance video placing Robinson's car at the scene, and testimony from his partner, who is cooperating with investigators. Prosecutors claim Robinson fired multiple rounds, ending Kirk's life. Defense attorneys push back. They say video proves presence, not guilt. They warn jurors about over-reliance on digital evidence. They insist the partner's testimony is tainted by bias or pressure. The political undertone fuels tension. Kirk supporters call it ideological violence. Critics warn against premature politicization. But inside court, motive is secondary to proof. Jurors will not be asked if they liked Kirk, they will be asked if Robinson fired the gun. The next milestone comes September 29, 2025, Robinson's substantive hearing. There, both sides will reveal strategy. This case echoes America's uneasy history with political violence, from the shooting of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords in 2011 to more recent assaults on public figures. Prosecutors want to frame Kirk's murder as premeditated political assassination. The defense will try to strip it of ideology and focus on gaps. The decision to seek death raises profound stakes. Utah juries rarely impose it, but its presence signals severity. For Silent Veil, this case captures how the law weighs not only guilt, but the ultimate penalty. The Menendez Brothers, hope denied. In 1989, Beverly Hills police entered a mansion to find Jose and Kitty Menendez shot to death in their den. Their sons, Lyle and Eric, became suspects almost immediately. By the mid-1990s, the Menendez brothers' trials were cultural phenomena. Prosecutors painted them as greedy heirs killing to inherit. The defense argued years of abuse drove them to violence. Ultimately, juries sided with the prosecution. Both brothers were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. For decades, the Menendez brothers have remained fixtures in prison, occasionally surfacing in documentaries, petitions, and online advocacy campaigns. Supporters point to alleged new evidence, including testimony from others who claim the brothers' abuse stories had merit. In 2025, the brothers filed a habeas corpus petition, seeking relief by arguing their convictions violated constitutional protections. Habeas is not retrial, it's a legal safety net for extraordinary injustice. But judges rarely grant it without overwhelming new proof. In September, a California judge denied their petition. The ruling said simply, the threshold had not been met. No new trial. No relief. For the brothers, now in their 50s, this may be the end of meaningful legal options. For victims' advocates, it reinforces that their parents' murder was motivated not by abuse but by greed, and that justice remains intact. The denial matters because it reflects the system's reluctance to revisit high-profile convictions absent dramatic new evidence. Courts seek finality. The Menendez saga, once a circus of media and tears, is effectively sealed. Their case continues to fascinate cultural historians and true crime followers. But legally, the chapter is closed. The Menendez brothers remain in prison. Their story is frozen. Brian Walshe, toward trial. On New Year's Day 2023, Anna Walshe disappeared from her Massachusetts home. Her husband, Brian Walshe, soon faced suspicion. Prosecutors allege he killed Anna, disposed of her remains, and attempted to erase his tracks. The most chilling evidence lies in his digital history. Investigators say Brian searched online for phrases like, how to dispose of a 115-pound woman's body, dismemberment methods, and how long before a body begins to smell. They claim he bought cleaning supplies, visited dumpsters, and lied to police about his movements. Yet defense attorneys counter that no body has been recovered. They argue digital searches, while damning, are circumstantial. They suggest prosecutors are weaving a narrative from fear, not fact. After nearly 3 years of motions and delays, a Massachusetts judge ruled in September 2025 that the case is trial-ready. Jury selection is expected in the coming months. This case is a rare, no-body prosecution. Such trials are difficult, jurors often hesitate without physical remains. But history shows convictions are possible when digital and circumstantial evidence align. The Scott Peterson case, the Kelly Lane case in Australia, examples of prosecutors proving murder even without recovery of a victim. For Anna's family, the upcoming trial means possible closure. For Brian, it means life on the line. The Walshe trial raises questions about digital evidence in the modern age. Can a trail of Google searches replace eyewitnesses? Will jurors see intent in words typed into a search bar? For Silent Veil, this trial symbolizes how absence itself can become evidence, how silence, when traced, can speak louder than words. From dismissed terrorism charges to capital punishment announcements, from a denied plea for relief to a long-awaited trial, these 4 cases reveal justice in motion. For families, each ruling means nights of renewed hope or grief. For defendants, each hearing narrows or expands their options. For courts, each decision reflects how carefully the system balances clarity with caution. This is Silent Veil. Subscribe for cinematic, ethical true crime every Tuesday and Friday, where the stories of justice are told not through headlines, but through evidence, rulings, and the shadows they cast.